Hello, my name is Dominic Underhallhouse and welcome to another episode of Moonbreaker. In today's episode, we're going to be having a look at some of the unlocks you can get through the Command and Control additions to the season track. So, there's 5 new additions that you can get through here, and I'm going to run through them all quite quickly. First, we've got the Third Eye profile image, which you can see I've already got using here. Second, we have got ourselves, there we go, a brand new roster banner shape. So this is just for your banners that you put for every single list. Just gives a little bit more variety. I'm all for more of these coming in the future. I'd love more customizability on them. I think they're a really fun way to show off what you want to do with your rosters, so I really like that as well. Next up, for number 3, we've got the Gold Rush Turncoat paint job. So to have a quick look at that, we're going to head down to Turncoat and we're going to see what we've got. I've not even looked at this fully yet, so let's have a look and see. So we've got quite a nice sort of like desert sandy themed turncoat at the moment, and here we go. So this is awesome, it's gorgeous. I like that the helmets have stayed somewhat the same, so they're slightly different in tone, but then similar colour, similar vibe. You can still tell which faction they're from, but this is so much more of an extravagant outfit. I absolutely love it. You can see the difference here, some nice little gold beads there. We've got little 2 colours, we've got different coloured headwear, we've got different coloured gems, slightly more vivid, and I like as well that on this one here we've got the plain old sheet over the eye, and here we've got like a sort of an art version of an eye drawn as well, so you can see like the second eye from Turncoat showing on there. I think that's a really awesome reward to have from that additional season track. And the fourth one here, we've got decals. So decals are things you can just use stickers, you can stick them onto your models and you can paint over them, you can use them as part of your paint scheme. And we've got 4 more here. I believe it was only the 4. Let's just have a quick pick a unit to make sure that is the case. And decals all the way down here. Oh, we've actually got a 5th one. We've got trinkets as well. So this is actually what was on Turncoat, it looks like. So we've got a little version of that as well. So excellent. We've got a few new decals. More options for the art style of things is always really useful. People will really enjoy that. And lastly here we've got glitter paints. So there's now 4 different textures of paints you can get in Moonbreaker. So what I'm going to do is have a quick run through them and show you what we've got, in case you're not already familiar with it. So we've got the default paint job. So default paint job was we just saw a moment ago. So the first ones we've got here are the basic paints. So these are ones where you've just got any colour, you make it large, you can hold shift to keep onto one part of it, and you've just got one big block of colour. So I'm just going to do this for a base coat on everything first and show off each of the different styles in turn. Next we've got 2 different palettes of metallic paints. So we can go for like this armoured one here, so we can do, say, the armour here, holding the shift key to make sure we pick all the same pieces out. It goes for the guns on this one as well. We can pick the relentless blue one and pick that for, say, the belt and any other features that would go with it. So that does the gloves as well and some of the boots. And that's what we've got in terms of the metallic paints. So next up we're going to look at the glowing paints. One of the things I like to do, I've said this previously, is take an airbrush, lower the opacity slightly, point it straight at the end of the gun, and just dab it like that, and just basically click a few times to give that bit of sort of life to the firearms there. So it looks like there's a little bit of firepower coming, or you can choose sort of the more reddish colour. So we've got this one here if you want to make it more glowing in that respect. And it gives you some nice little options to give a little bit of a detail and feature to it as well. And then the newest one we've got here is our glitter paints. So before we look at the glitter paints, I'm just going to pop back up here and find a relatively normal, wherever it's gone, sort of face colour for, oh, we need to just paint it here, just because we don't want Maximus to be completely bizarre looking. So we've got a face there with terrifying blue glowing eyes, but more importantly we've got glitter. So I chose Maximus because I think glitter just really suits his personality. And look at this. So one thing you'll notice is it almost looks as though it's glitching, but that's because it's sort of defining the pattern each time. And one thing that you might notice as well is it hasn't done the underside of this. So the glitter paint is actually coded differently to the regular paint, in that on the regular paint this brush is essentially considered to be sort of like an orb almost. So it's like you actually paint all sides of something, it's like a sphere of that size. So for this, to get underneath, I wonder if we can actually even do these. There we go. So you can get to it eventually. It's a little bit difficult to get to some of these parts of the model. So, I don't think it's ideal in the implementation here, because we'd like to have a little bit more sort of clarity over there, but they look absolutely awesome. So like things like here, easy enough, you can just hold the shift key, go over it, paint over them, but you'll notice, like I said, the spherical paint hasn't gone over it. Now there's a couple of things I haven't tried with these yet, and it's to how they work with other features. So what if we try a wash and we lower the opacity, sorry, big brush, lower opacity. I just realised I wasn't doing opacity on these at all, I was just doing brush size. Oh my goodness. We can give a real shimmer there. Okay, I quite like that. That's kind of cool. Okay, so I wasn't expecting this necessarily to work. I wasn't sure what would happen, but it's sort of like a cross between stippling and glitter themselves, like sort of together. So it's almost like you can blend your own sort of glittery style using it. That's quite a cool look. Okay, so what about airbrushing? How does airbrushing work on this? Oh, I like how it looks when you're holding it, just a spinning circle, but... Oh, hang on. So if we do that and then let go, you actually keep that circular pattern? I kind of like that. I think that's quite cool. So we could just sort of do like a couple of circles here. What if we do a couple of smaller ones? So maybe not that small, maybe like that sort of size. We can turn it into like a pattern. There we go. Tips and tricks for artwork coming from me is quite a rarity, but hey, we've managed to find one. Let's just try and take some credit for it. So there we go. A little art trick there to hold on to that airbrush button with the glitter paints and make an awesome little pattern as well. Next up, we're going to try stipple. So let's stipple these leg pieces. Let's increase the opacity and see how this comes out. So this one, to me, almost looks like we're covering it in gemstones or bedazzling it or something like that. That is some disco pants right there. So what if we just undo that and go for that with the Luxe? And just go for some proper studded disco pants. How absurd does that look? So when you zoom in, how different is it? Okay, so the same as the other, stippling does change in size as you zoom in further. So there we go. This looks like he's got sequined trousers that all the sequins have just fallen off. But it almost looks like a cheap imitation version of like those snakeskin trousers you can get and things like that, which is kind of cool. And then lastly, we'll have a look at dry brush. So we've got these guns here. Let's do a bit of red dry brush on the guns. Lower the opacity a bit and see how that comes out. Okay, so that one hasn't really functioned in any way, shape or form. Like, you can see, actually no, you can see it coming up on the edges there. It looks like you need a little bit more put on than you normally would, but it does come up in a sort of glittery thing. It's not the most standout. I'm sure there's people who are better artists than me that can find a good use for that. But for me, I think I'd rather just do, say, like a red and dry brush it. And like, obviously this isn't quite the same colour, but to me that's a little bit more sort of what I'd intend for. But again, it's kind of a cool feature. So there we go. These are all the different things you can do with the different types of paints. There's probably loads more options that you can figure out yourself as well. But I just wanted to show off the glitter paints. And I really like this airbrush thing. I've just discovered that now while we're talking. So I'm going to be using that, little airburst circles, probably a little bit more often. I think that's quite cool. So with all those things, you can come up with something that looks a bit... If you want to, hurt your eyes and hurt your opponent's eyes, you can come up with something like this. This is... Oh no, that's not it. Here we go. Glitter Maximus. This is my absolute eyesore of a unit. I can't recommend doing this to anyone. You can see here there's like little patches where the brushes haven't met because we didn't do round behind it. Like I said, with it no longer being a spherical brush, it being like an airbrush no matter what. In fact, I wonder if that same thing happens here. Yes, the same effect doesn't happen on the paintbrush, it's only on the airbrush, so you can use that to your advantage, and you too can make a shiny, glitterable Maximus. If you enjoyed this video, please do hit that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments what you're going to be using these amazing and sometimes horrific glitter paints for. I'm going to be trying to figure out a way to make my Maximus a little bit cleaner, a little bit sort of as glaringly ostentatious as possible without being just silly to the point of this where he looks like he's a Christmas decoration. But honestly, I love the addition of glitter paints. I think they're a great fun thing to add to the game. Feel free to support the channel. Like I said, like, subscribe, comment, head over to the Patreon, send us your support over there. It's the best way to support the channel. But for now, I'm really looking forward to seeing what everyone's got to offer in terms of the paint schemes, but most importantly is to have a good day.